Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change News Show, where we describe to you the American state of decay, where your childhood idols are being convicted of sexual abuse, and the main political discourse is dominated by celebrities and musicians, primarily of which one that is married to someone who is very famous for having a large buttocks. Everything is a lie. So yeah, sorry for not being as active as I want to be on this YouTube channel, but I've been having medical issues as well as issues with YouTube, which you should probably watch the video before this to really understand what we're going through. And yeah, the show must go on, and there's a crap ton of news that you guys should know about, and a large portion of it is of course not being highlighted by the mainstream media. First of all, the main story that of course everyone is talking about is Bill Cosby, who was just found guilty by a jury on all 3 counts of a sexual assault trial. 3 counts of aggravated assault that could lead to a total of 30 years in jail. Now, of course, Cosby is denying all these allegations against him and even lashed out on the prosecutor and called him an a-hole. But with around 60 women accusing Bill Cosby of sexual abuse and years of trials and court dates, the last one of which ended up in a mistrial, many people are celebrating this decision and seeing it as justice and someone powerful finally being held accountable for his actions. So that, of course, is a story that everyone is talking about right now. And now moving on to other important news, let's talk about Kanye West. No, I'm just joking. In actual important news, today was supposed to be the day that Donald Trump actually released all the documents relating to the assassination of John F. Kennedy. This already, as it has been postponed many times before and was supposed to be released in full a couple months ago, with the deadline always being pushed back, and as of today, 19,045 documents have been released. This is of course something that Donald Trump has been lobbying for and promising the American people, but there's a very big but here. Trump has actually made a decision to delay some of the most important JFK assassination files all the way until 2021, saying, quote, that the continued withholdings are necessary to protect against identifiable harm to national security, law enforcement, or foreign affairs that is of such gravity that it outweighs the public interest in immediate disclosure. And for me, what he's really saying, the government did something really bad and we can't really tell you. It's been over 50 years now since the assassination of JFK, and a number of years that the government had to classify these documents, which of course highlights the government's secrecy around this case and only promotes more conspiracy theories, which Donald Trump said he would put to rest but hasn't, mainly because of former CIA directors Mike Pompeo's lobbying and pressuring Donald Trump not to release these documents, which Donald Trump of course officially capitulated to, and now even promoted Mike Pompeo to be head of the U.S. State Department, which of course the Senate is voting on right now, and we're finding out right now will most likely pass and allow Mike Pompeo to be head of the State Department, mainly because of U.S. Senator Rand Paul's last-minute flip-flop, which made him vote in favor of Pompeo, even though when it comes to their political ideologies, they are further apart, especially on foreign policy, than anyone else could be, which of course has angered a lot of people who support Rand Paul. Now, Rand Paul came out and said he did this because he, quote, shares the president's vision for the world, including on reducing war, which it's hooey, because as we know, with Donald Trump, U.S. investment in the military-industrial complex has skyrocketed. Arms sales all over the world have expanded. So have U.S. operations in countries like Africa, where even yesterday we found out about a top-secret DoD building that is worth $110 million and is an actual drone base that was just built in Niger. Now, of course, some people are speculating that there's a connection between Rand Paul, Pompeo, and the Koch brothers, but ultimately, this is a major capitulation and loss for Rand Paul, including his base that are disappointed with him, especially with his excuse for doing so, since many of his supporters aren't really believing it, especially since, you know, Donald Trump is surrounding himself with mainly neoconservative warhawks, which even The Independent pointed out that the appointment of John Bolton and Mike Pompeo in the U.S. brings us closer to war in the Middle East. And they are right, especially with these people making key decisions for the U.S. government now, and sadly signals more U.S. foreign policy towards more conflict. especially as Bolton as the head national security advisor and avid supporter of Israel, which of course is a close U.S. ally, and is now only more emboldened by these Trump appointments. Like we're seeing right now with Israel declaring today that they will hit Tehran if Iran attacks, and the two sides are already involved in a conflict inside of the Syrian territory, which of course could engulf into a bigger conflict that would engage their allies, the United States and Russia, against each other. And people need to understand this is a very big reality, since Israel's hardline defense minister went on Saudi Arabian state-run press and said Israel would directly attack Iran if, of course, Tel Aviv was ever targeted. The Iranians are, of course, not backing down from the tough talk with their supreme leader, Khomeini, as of today, urging Muslim nations to unite against the United States, and the Iranian naval commander even threatened to sink U.S. ships if the U.S. pulls out of the Iran deal and would be targeted for restarting their nuclear program. Now, of course, the U.S. decision on the Iran deal will be decided within a few days, which, of course, we will be following very closely, but, of course, with Trump's rhetoric and also the appointment of Pompeo and Bolton, many experts, including Iran itself, is, of course, predicting that the Iran deal won't be expanded by U.S. President Donald Trump. Pompeo has previously called the Iran deal a disaster, while Bolton is mainly known for his headline, "Bomb Iran." Trump is, of course, following that rhetoric that Iran messed with Obama, but they won't mess with him. He wants to somehow renegotiate this deal, which of course Iran said it wouldn't do unless it benefits them. And sadly, it looks like we're down another trajectory to another diplomatic, chaotic situation that sadly could be cause for more war and foreign entanglements. Now, hopefully that won't happen, but the stakes here are very large, with Russia and China being allies of Iran, and the United States with Saudi Arabia and Israel sticking close together, and of course declaring Iran as their biggest enemy. So yeah, I definitely would love some clarification for Rand Paul and the vision he shares with Donald Trump and Pompeo for the future foreign policy of the United States. Because it's definitely not a pretty picture that's being painted here. Now, of course, we're not going to get into the direct details of the Iran deal to save some time. But curiously, what do you guys think of the Iran deal? Is it a good deal or is it a bad deal? Please let me know in the comment section below, which of course we will be answering within the first hour that this video comes out. Of course, I'm very much looking forward to your comments and to expand this topic. Today, we are also finding out how the UK government engaged in the covert operation to overthrow Bashar al-Assad, the president of Syria, just months after the 2011 protest in his country, actions of which helped to prolong and radicalize Syria, which of course is also aligned very closely with Iran, China, and Russia. And this is a very important article that will be in the sources of this video, that will be in our Steemit post and in the comment section of this video. But obviously, Syria has been the main geopolitical strategic territory where this proxy war has been unfolding within the last few years, which of course Russia recognizes and now is boosting their air defense and delivering S-300 air defense systems to the Syrian government right now. This of course has directly angered Israel, since this will prevent them from doing their targeted attacks that they have been doing on the Syrian government. And of course, it hasn't been just Syria that has been a territory in contention, also Ukraine, with the current Ukrainian government threatening Russia with a full-scale conflict if Russia stops its gas transit through the territory of Ukraine. And now in other ridiculous hardline government policy news, we're finding out today that a man who describes himself as an e-waste activist just got sentenced to 15 months in prison for selling Windows Restore discs, which many people say were worthless, but the government is saying that they cost $700,000 US. And of course, this man did this so consumers wouldn't be throwing out their old computers that they believed to be broken. And because of that, he was charged with infringing Microsoft's intellectual property, which is a very steep price to pay, since he was charging 25 cents for each disc after he was collecting them, since many people saw them as worthless and threw them away. So, my opinion, that's pretty dumb. And another, oh crap, news. I think the state of the U.S. economy could be definitely defined by this headline that reads, quote, "Millennials aren't buying cars or homes because they are indentured slaves." And with more bad news coming from the retail section and stores all across America, including Subway that just had to close 500 of their stores just this year alone, I think there's a very big disparaging difference between what we're told the economy is and what the economy actually is. Even though the stock market is supposedly up and doing well, if you look around, the picture's pretty different. Why? Well, as we started the show, everything's a lie. So yeah, a lot of people are predicting a major economic storm coming. The balance sheets, especially with the big banks and government, definitely don't add up. And all I have to say on that topic is be smart, people. Diversify all your assets in many different pots in order to stay ahead of the foreseeable problems ahead of us. Other than that, I really don't have much to say on that topic. And if you want me to do a more in-depth video on this, of course, let me know in the comment section below. Our own very Jason Burmis is going through the current JFK files. Follow him on our backup channel, which of course will be linked in the description below of this video. He will be making a full report on some of the files that have been actually released as of right now, with, of course, you know, all the secret stuff that we'll never ever get to see. Remember to question everything, do your own research, never supplicate to the low energy vibrational field of fear and hate. Your thoughts are more important than we know. And yeah, I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching, supporting, donating, sharing, and being here with us in Real Independent Media. Stay tuned for more.